Chapter 233, Breaking Through Two Realms Consecutively. This chapter is updated by Novels.pl. A god's manifestation was not to be taken lightly. It was considered a miracle. The god's shadow in the sky above was such a grand display that even the highly respected, strong-air warriors of the heaven realm in Yanwu City were shocked. They all rushed to the imperial ancestral temple. They could not see past the ruse and believed that the gods were indeed manifesting themselves. After all, Zhang Yuoquan's martial soul was more powerful than that of other warriors in the completion of the heaven realm. Since normal warriors in the heaven realm had not yet practiced their martial soul, how could they see through Zhang Yuoquan's manifestation? Besides, he had accomplished the body of the false god, so he could easily fool warriors in the heaven realm. The giant god's shadow began to absorb the sacrifice power just like in the scene of Spirit conquering mountains and rivers. The god's shadow drew a deep breath, as if it had come alive. 1% of the bloodlight at the altar converged and flowed towards it. Sacrifice power was so powerful that warriors were unable to absorb it at all. Zhang Yuoquan, however, was proficient in secret, ancient techniques. He could assimilate sacrifice power by using body of the false god. When the sacrifice power entered into his body of the false god, it was transformed into genuine qi. It flowed into his body through his vessel of spirit, between his martial soul and Qi-Si. Zhang Yuoquan was worried that his Qi-Si would not be able to withstand the strong sacrifice power. After all, it was only meant to be absorbed by gods. When the genuine Qi, full of sacrifice power, poured into Zhang Yuoquan's Qi-Si, it lit up many gods' marks on his Qi-Si wall. There was a deafening God Brahma sound. Zhang Yuoquan had reached the ultimate realm and also drew cord of gods twice. That firmly activated the god's mark on his Qi-Si wall. God's mark could unexpectedly come to life under the great impact of sacrifice power. All kinds of strange gods' shadows were suspended in the air above his genuine Qi-Si. They were bodies of the false god. When the bodies of the false god appeared, the martial soul suspended above the imperial ancestral temple also gave out a God Brahma sound. The absorption speed of the sacrifice power increased tenfold. 1% of the spiritual blood at the altar flowed into the body of the false god. A strong surge of sacrifice power poured into Zhang Yuoquan's body and helped him break through new realms. He instantly reached the advanced stage of the earth realm, and the space of his Qi-Si expanded 15 times its previous size. His martial cultivation kept improving greatly and he began to challenge the next realm, the dawn state of the earth realm. I never thought that the god's mark in my Qi-Si would activate and assist in assimilating the sacrifice power so greatly. I don't think my Qi lake will burst under the protection of God's mark, but will my body be able to bear it? Breaking through into new realms was a good thing, and your body will withstand greater pressure at higher levels. Sacrifice power was still pouring into his body. How long can the meridians inside me endure this? The sacrifice power is extremely powerful. He had intended to absorb 1% of the sacrifice power to break through to the advanced stage of the earth realm or the dawn state of the earth realm. Absorbing sacrifice power at this speed, however, would fill normal warriors in the completion of the earth realm with that much genuine Qi in less than an hour. What should I do with all this sacrifice power? He found a bright spot suspended above his Qi-Si among all the bodies of the false god. That bright spot was shaped like a sword. Heart of the sword. Zhang Yuoquan had just broken into the realm of heart integrated into sword. His heart of the sword was as small as a grain of rice. Maybe I could use heart of the sword to help me absorb the sacrifice power. He already felt his globula dilating, as though his Qi lake was about to change. That meant he was about to break into the dawn state of the earth realm. He must act quickly. While controlling heart of the sword with his spiritual power, he started to absorb the genuine Qi from the sacrifice power. Heart of the sword did absorb sacrifice power. It brought him some relief. He then began to wonder why. Sacrifice power was comprised of two powers, power of prey and power of animal spirits. Power of animal spirits came from the blood of the slaughtered bulls, sheep and savage beasts, and turned into spiritual blood driven by the altar array and became a means of opening the door of heaven. Power of prayer was the main body which represented the faith and willpower of all the people in the Yanwu commandery over the year. It was terrifyingly powerful. It seemed as though his martial soul had taken in 1% of the sacrifice power, but actually most of it had entered into the door of heaven while a little was transformed by vessel of spirit and absorbed into his chi. What Heart of the Sword absorbed was power of prey, whereas Zhang Yuochen absorbed the power of animal spirits. There were tens of thousands of people in Yanwu commandery helping Zhang Yuochen improve sword comprehension right now. The growth rate of Heart of the Sword had accelerated. The more sacrifice power he absorbed, the more people there would be to help him improve his sword comprehension. Bam! Zhang Yuochen's martial arts realm broke through to the dawn state of the earth realm. Turbulent genuine chi surged towards all his meridians and entered his blood, muscles, bones, internal organs, skin and hair. Not only did his cultivation improve, but also his physical quality as well. His Heart of the Sword had started out the size of a grain of rice. Now it had doubled in size in an hour, and the outline of a sword could be seen clearly. That would normally take 3 years of hard practice to achieve. He had taken a huge step forward in the realm of heart integrated into sword, and was no longer at the beginner level. The ceremony of worship was coming to an end. Zhang Yuochen withdrew his martial soul and began to refine into mescent genuine chi inside his body. He broke through 2 realms consecutively within an hour and his genuine chi had expanded 100 times. The genuine chi Zhang Yuochen had practiced before was just 1% of what he now possessed. Since too much genuine chi had been gained and outmatched his power, it was quite hard to control. Just a little carelessness would cause him to be possessed by the devil. Had it not been for his mighty spiritual power and martial soul, he would have lost control of his furious genuine chi. King Spiritual Fire Sky. With his eyes closed, he referred to the operating mode of the 3rd level recorded in the scripture of Emperor Ming's Empyrean. He gathered the genuine chi in his body to run slowly with 36 meridians. Genuine chi would become more docile every time it finished a large circle of vital energy in meridians. To begin with, Zhang Yuochen had to operate his genuine chi very slowly. As his ability to control genuine chi strengthened, the speed with which he could run the genuine chi could be gradually increased. After 100 circulations, the blustering genuine chi inside his body finally calmed down. Finally, my improved realm is temporarily stable now. But I think it may take at least a month to accumulate and consolidate my cultivation, if I want to keep my body in optimum condition. Zhang Yuochen exhaled deeply and raised his arm slightly. A massive burst of genuine chi surged out from his palms. Each wisp of genuine chi was like a flame, emitting an enormous amount of heat. Since I have broken through 2 realms, I think I could defeat masters at the same level of young Lord of Poisonous Spider, even if I don't use my sword comprehension of heart integrated into sword and power of space. My combat ability will definitely improve when I have full control over my genuine chi, and reach a point where I can use it as I please. Zhang Yuochen was quite pleased with his new cultivation. He stood up and opened the palace gate. He dissolved into a shadow and disappeared as he moved. He was quickly outside the Imperial Ancestral Temple. My current speed is 180 meters per second. If I can bring out my best, I think I could increase that to 200 meters per second by using Shadow of the Royal Wind Dragon. Zhang Yuochen smiled. He was quite satisfied with his speed. Normal warriors in the completion of the Earth realm could reach a speed of 100 to 120 meters per second. Though he was in the dawn state of the Earth realm, he could attain a speed of 200 meters per second. With his current cultivation, even 10 warriors in the completion of the Earth realm were no match for him. Except, of course, for the 3-realm fighting geniuses like young Lord of Poisonous Spider and Ziyan Yang. They were not normal warriors. The ultimate realm of the Earth realm had to be reached at the speed of sound. The speed of sound was not constant, but variable at about 340 meters per second. It fluctuated under different circumstances. Not even a normal warrior at the initial stage of the heaven realm could reach the speed of sound. Reaching the speed of sound was as difficult for a warrior of the Earth realm as climbing up into the sky. But Zhang Yuochen was not a normal warrior. His starting point was destined to be higher than others when he reached the ultimate realm for the first time. It was raised once again when he reached the ultimate realm for the second time. In truth, warriors of the Earth realm could never reach the speed of sound. Zhang Yuochen had already broken through 2 more realms than other warriors. Naturally, it was easier for him to challenge the ultimate realm of the Earth realm. All things are difficult before they become easy. You feel more relaxed than others and can even achieve great success when you do your best from the beginning. That can be applied to other things besides practicing martial arts. 6 hours had passed since the end of ceremony of worship. There were still many warriors kneeling on the ground outside the Imperial Ancestral Temple. People were beginning to leave and discuss the god's manifestation. Zhang Yuochen was listening to them talk, and a faint smile flickered across his lips. "Where did you go, Zhang Yuochen? Didn't you attend the ceremony of worship?" Huang Yanjun approached him, followed by an old woman and an elderly man. Zhang Yuochen shook his head slightly and answered, "I had something to deal with, so I missed the sacrifice." "What happened?" He focused his attention on the 2 elderly people. He felt an intense force surrounding them, as if 2 huge mountains were moving towards him. He was sure that they must be myths of martial arts in the Heaven realm, and thought that the Cayenne Yui Commandery deserved to be a superior class commandery. It had arranged for 2 warriors in the Heaven realm to protect Huang Yanjun. That was impossible for an inferior commandery. Huang Yanjun had a solemn look on her face. This year's ceremony of worship was extraordinary. The gods had manifested. It has never happened in the history of the Cayenne Yui Commandery. You missed quite a miracle. I don't think you'll see anything like it again in your life. Huang Yanjun was very proud to have seen the god's manifestation during her lifetime, compared to Zhang Yuochen who had missed it. "Oh," Zhang Yuochen smiled faintly and said, "God's manifestation. Sounds interesting. So did you get the god's blessings?"